You just bought a car, a pale blue hatchback, nothing special, a color you picked almost at random. 2 days later, you see it in the grocery store parking lot, then in your neighbor's driveway, then twice on the highway before lunch. You start to wonder if everyone secretly agreed on this car without telling you. But the real answer is far stranger than coincidence. Your brain didn't just start noticing a car. It started running a program it has been running since before you had language, and that program is older, weirder, and more powerful than most people ever realize. Here's what actually happened. The blue hatchbacks were always there. Dozens of them every single day, rolling past your window. While you thought about breakfast or traffic or nothing at all, your eyes received the light bouncing off every one of them, but your brain threw that information away. Why would it keep something so useless? Your visual system takes in roughly 10 million bits of information every second. Your conscious mind can process maybe 50. That gap is enormous, so your brain has to make brutal decisions about what deserves your attention and what gets deleted before you ever notice it existed. Most of the world you walk through every day is being edited out in real time, and you have no idea it's happening. Then you bought the car, and in that instant, your brain quietly updated its filter. Blue hatchback moved from the delete pile to the keep pile, not because the world changed, because you changed what counted as relevant. This isn't some obscure curiosity. It has a name, and the story of that name is almost as strange as the effect itself. In 1994, a man posted on an online forum for a Minnesota newspaper. He mentioned that he'd heard the name of a German terrorist group, the Baader-Meinhof group, for the first time in his life. Then, less than a day later, he heard it again, completely unrelated, from someone else entirely. He wanted to know if anyone else had noticed this pattern, this strange sense that once you learn a thing, it starts following you. The question spread. People kept describing the same experience with different words entirely, different names, different facts. And it eventually landed in front of a linguist at Stanford named Arnold Zwicky. Zwicky studied language for a living, but he recognized this as something bigger than language. In 2005, he gave it a formal name, the frequency illusion. The event people had been calling the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon was, in his words, an illusion of frequency. Not more sightings, more noticing. So what is actually happening inside your head when this hits you? It comes down to two systems working together, and neither one is broken. Both are doing exactly what they evolved to do. The first is selective attention. Decades before Zwicky named the illusion, a psychologist named Anne Treisman was already mapping out how human attention actually filters the world. Her research showed that your brain doesn't process every object in front of you with equal weight. Instead, it builds features, color, shape, motion, and only stitches them into full conscious awareness when something flags them as worth noticing. Think about how a parent can sleep through a thunderstorm but wake instantly at the sound of their child's voice in another room. That's not magic, that's a filter deciding in an instant what deserves to break through. Once your brain flags blue hatchbacks as relevant, that filter starts working overtime. Every blue hatchback on the road gets pulled out of the noise and pushed into your awareness. It feels like the world rearranged itself around you. It didn't. Your filter did. But there's a second system running underneath that one, and this is where it gets stranger. Once your brain starts noticing something, it doesn't just notice it neutrally. It starts building a story, and that story wants to be true. This is confirmation bias, and one of the researchers most responsible for helping the world understand it was the psychologist Daniel Kahneman. Kahneman spent decades studying the shortcuts your brain takes when it makes decisions, shortcuts that feel like clear thinking but are actually built on incomplete evidence. One of his central findings was that humans don't naturally search for information that disproves what they already suspect. Instead, the brain reaches for whatever confirms it, and it reaches fast. So the moment you notice one blue hatchback, your brain isn't just logging a data point, it's building a hypothesis. Blue hatchbacks are suddenly everywhere, and every new sighting after that gets treated as proof. Meanwhile, every single day you walk past, drive past, sit next to 100 other car colors that never once get counted because they were never relevant to the story your brain decided to tell. Put those two systems together, and you get something that feels supernatural, but is actually just efficient. Selective attention decides what gets through the gate. Confirmation bias decides how you interpret what walks through it. Neither one is lying to you exactly. They're both just doing their job a little too well. And here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. This isn't limited to cars or baby names or a word you just learned. Think about the last time you were diagnosed with something. even something minor, and suddenly every stranger seemed to be talking about that exact condition? Think about the last time you learned a new fact about history and then saw it referenced twice in 1 week, as if the universe were nudging you. It wasn't a nudge. It was a filter you built yourself, without meaning to, the moment that piece of information became personally relevant. Now stretch that further. This is the same mechanism sitting underneath the way people fall into rigid beliefs and never climb back out. Once you decide something is true, your brain stops hunting for reasons it might be wrong. It starts hunting for reasons it's right, and it will find them because there's always something out there that looks like confirmation if you're determined enough to see it that way. This is how a suspicion turns into a certainty, not through new evidence, through a filter that quietly stopped letting in anything else. It's also, strangely, why doom scrolling feels the way it does. Once your feed learns you paused on one kind of story, it starts pushing you more of the same. Your own frequency illusion gets a partner now, a machine that studies your attention and builds an entire feed designed to keep confirming whatever you already started noticing. The algorithm didn't invent this trick. Your brain taught it first. So why would evolution build a mind this easy to fool? Because most of the time, this shortcut kept your ancestors alive. If something new and threatening appeared once in the grass, noticing it again quickly, treating every rustle afterward as significant, was far safer than treating it as a random noise. A brain that assumes patterns matter survives longer than a brain that waits for statistical proof. You inherited a mind built for pattern hunting in a world of predators, and now you're using that same mind to scroll through headlines and count parking lots. Which brings it back to the car. The blue hatchback was never spreading across your city overnight. There was no coincidence, no cosmic wink, no sudden shift in what other people were driving. What shifted was smaller and stranger than that. Somewhere behind your eyes, a filter that has been running since before you could speak quietly flipped a switch, decided this shape and this color mattered now, and started handing you every example it could find. You didn't start seeing more of the world. You started seeing more of yourself.